right, so Sue L. Robinson, the judge that recommended a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson, is expected to release her full 16-page report for ESPN, but they have gotten the page just titled Conclusion, the last page of the report. We're going to read part of that to you because it is revealing. Robinson writes, the NFL may be a forward-facing organization, but it is not necessarily a forward-looking one. Just as the NFL responded to violent conduct after a public outcry, so it seems the NFL is responding to yet another public outcry about Mr. Watson's conduct. It goes on a little bit, but then she ends with some bullet points. I find the most appropriate landing place to be as follows. Watson is suspended for 6 games without pay. Although this is the most significant punishment ever imposed on an NFL player for allegations of non-violent sexual conduct, Mr. Watson's pattern of conduct is more egregious than any before reviewed by the NFL. She then calls on him to only get massages from the team and says he can't have involvement with law enforcement.
Huh.
So it was really, really bad. More egregious than any before reviewed by the NFL, but he gets 6 games.
In a season where he's only going to get $1 million of salary.
Right.
So there's not much of a penalty here. And I mean, I'll say this again. I guess at this point, I mean, what are we really getting? Is this for us at this point? The proverbial pound of flesh? Yeah, justice or something like that. Because like, there's no justice. He didn't even face criminal charges. Everyone has settled outside of one person too. So is now the time to move on? I guess it does make you feel pretty jaded and cynical that she can write like this is one of the worst things that she's seen in
that
quite
we've
some
ever
time.
Seen, yet he gets 6 games.
And it's just 6 games in a season where he's barely making any money.
And she only heard, like 5 of the women? So she only heard a quarter of the bad things that he did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Allegedly, yeah.
I mean, things he's accused of.
I will say this.
Justice.
Not to be a contrarian, I do think one of the reasons that people want to read the report so closely is for future cases. I don't think that there will be another quarterback, hopefully never, accused of this many incidents and alleged involvement with sexual misconduct, but this is the first major case that Sue L. Robinson has handled. So I do think that if you're a reporter in the world, and especially if you're a Schefter, Pelissero, hell, if you're an NFL team owner, you want to know what this woman's mindset is. Is she going to be out for blood every time there's something like this? Is she going to be fair? What's the perception? She does rip the NFL apart in the first part of this conclusion where she says the NFL may be a forward-facing organization, but it is not necessarily a forward-looking one, at least in the former situation. The NFL is attempting to impose a more dramatic shift in its culture without the benefit of fair notice to and consistency of consequence for those in the NFL. So they're basically saying the NFL is trying to be more dramatic, but it's not giving guys fair notice that they're being more dramatic about policy. I mean, this woman's kind of all over the place. I understand that she is a lawyer and that this is lawyer speak.
She's arbitrating with herself.
She is, yeah, it's like she goes back and forth.
Also, the fact that the NFL was too lenient in the past, now that means that Deshaun Watson's suspension is also lenient. Like, that is in what it sounds like, that's a point in Watson's favor, is that, well, he didn't know that he was going to get suspended an entire year for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she's worried about perception. She's almost beating up on the NFL here, but then she's like, by the way, worst thing I've ever seen.
By the way, this is horrendous, but he didn't get a fair notice. He would have done it.
So this is the conclusion, guys, of the 16-page report. Once the full 16-page report comes out, I do plan on reading it. I may need the help of some of my legal friends to read it, but I do plan on reading it. Yeah. As Michael Scott says, can you explain it to me like I'm in kindergarten? What do you guys think we're gonna see from that, if anything?
Nah, nothing. Nothing matters. Nothing's real.
Okay, well.
Listen, I'm just, from this perspective, Vanessa, I just can't help but just think to myself, like, okay, so this is all just a waste of time. Really,
well,
right?
It's not a waste of time, though, Paul, because although it's not legal and it's not criminal and it's not indictment and it's not a grand jury, it's the NFL. It's the sport that we cover.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm just saying, like, what kind of precedent does it set? Like,
sure.
they act like they care. They don't. They clearly don't. They never will. They never have. And we're all going to forget about this months from now. So it pisses me off from that perspective. Like, I know that any kind of punishment that Watson got, for a lot of us right now, it is not doing anything for us, and it's not doing anything for the victims either. Like, the victims They've all settled. They all want to move on with this. They just want this done. But it's pretty crazy that this is how it works. He faced no criminal charges and 6 games with no fine.
He gets traded like he wanted to before it came out. He gets to sit out, keep all of his money for a year.
He gets to pick the team that he goes to, by the way.
He gets to pick the team that he goes to, gets a unprecedented contract with over $200 million guaranteed, and now he gets suspended 6 games.